Hello and welcome to this week's episode of From the Shadows Born. It's good to see you all in chat, and nice that you all managed to get in on time. And yeah, as Stampster says, like the video, everyone, if you are enjoying the show, which hopefully you are. That's why you're here. So there we are. Now, Brian is with us once again from Hong Kong. Brian, how are you doing?
Very good, very good.
Glad to hear it. You got some new dice recently, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I invested in a Kickstarter a few months ago, so for some metal dice, and they finally came in last week. Yeah, the day after my two bi-weekly sessions. So today will be the first time that I get to use them.
There you go. There you go. Now, speaking of dice and Kickstarters, I would be remiss if I didn't say that this week on How to Be a Great GM and GM Live and all those kinds of wonderful channels, this week is the Easy Roller Kickstarter, which I do need to just share some love with very, very quickly, because I think you're going to love these dice. Now, Easy Roller, I will be straight up with you. They are big sponsors of this YouTube channel. We do love their dice. As a matter of fact, they even sent dice to some of my players in one of my Patreon games. They went, "We love you so much, we're going to give your Patreons cool stuff." So they just sent a whole bunch of stuff to those Patreons. And that was it. There was no ask back. I mean, it's just that they like to invest in channels that they like. We like to invest in companies that work with us. And so there we go. So these new dice that have come out, they've made their goal already, which is brilliant. But these are their colour spray dice, which you can grab on Kickstarter. I'll share the link with you a little later on. But they've kind of got these speckles in them, but it's 3D speckles. It's not just on the surface. So I think they look pretty cool. Some of them look pretty cool. This one here with the silver numbers on it. Can't read those. Naughty, naughty. But anyway, so there we are. These spray set. They're not pricey. They're not pricey at all. Very, very pretty. Very unusual. I don't think I've got any speckled dice in my collection. Do you have speckled dice at all? I've got glittered dice. I don't have speckled dice.
I don't have them myself. A couple guys I play with in Hong Kong, I've seen them with some interesting speckles on their dice.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Anyway, they've got speckled dice. Those speckled dice are pretty cool. Here is the link for you if you are so inclined. Head on over there or drop them a tweet saying we found you through Great GM. Now, I am going to be using another set of Easy Roller dice that they sent me. There's no Kickstarter for these. These you just go and buy straight away. These are their Gemstone collection. So these are dice that are made. It's very, very small, and I'll do a video on it. Don't worry, there's a video going to come out this Friday on these Gemstone dice. Now, this is made out of lapis lazuli, which is the gemstone. It's a semi-precious stone, technically, which the Egyptians used to use. And we still use. You crush it into a very fine powder, and it actually forms the basis for blue dye, or blue paint anyway. Still to this day, you can get paint made out of lapis lazuli, crushed lapis lazuli. So they've got lapis lazuli, they've got tiger's eye, which is a beautiful little semi-precious stone die, and they sound nice. They have the same weight as stone, the same weight as metal dice, I should say, but there's a softness to them that's just remarkable. Anyway, easyrollerdice.com. Now that that's out of the way, young Raj has a whole bunch of stuff. I have actually converted, by the way. I have now moved back to keeping my campaign in a book. I still use all of the online stuff, but just for keeping notes and stuff, I spent some time over the weekend. This is a standard A4 book. It's a ring bounder book, so I could fold it flat like that. And then I got some fake leather and just made a little bit of a cover of it. Now, I want to know, what should I put as a design on the front? Should I try and draw like a dragon's head or a D&D logo, or should I put someone's name? Should I write sort of Captain Priceless's book of stuff he's never going to touch? You know, I mean, I could put something nasty there, but I don't think I want to. Anyway, you let me know in the comments. What do you think I should try and draw on the front? Now, I'm not a very good artist. Dragons versus Mind Flayers. Yeah, thanks, Captain Price. This is going to take me like 7 years to do. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I could do a Mind Flayer, or I could do a dragon. I could try anyway. A dinosaur, says Laura. Yeah, maybe. Oh, the great GM logo. Oh, that's very a photo of Brian. I'm going to put a photo of Brian on the front of my book. Okay, well, when you guys have some suggestions that I may or may not be able to do that. Yes. All right. So, no, this book is actually for all my online games. So there's plenty of stuff. Maybe it'll probably be for 2 of them. Because I've just bought a whole bunch more, actually. I kind of forgot what it's like to just have a good old book to write stuff in. So I've got my notes for the session. Brian, are you ready to play?
I am ready.
I'm ready. So let's do it. We sink down into the large spit of land known as Utherios, the Utherios hegemony, and into the large and busy port town of Pythias. Pythias itself, forming the major trading hub in the southern part of Utherios, is or has been the goal of young Raj since his father sent him on the quest to purchase a single gemstone of Alexandrite. Raj has finally arrived. And here we go into Pythias, courtesy of Dungeon Fog, and this is the city of Pythias. Raj arrived in the late afternoon with his companions and headed on over to the Farmer Inn, the most originally named tavern that you could possibly find, run by the dwarf known as Cobard. And his companions, the elves from the Tadesu Empire, have now left. And that leaves Raj with Zil and Alexei in the rooms that he has booked. But Kinvar is in the stables of the barracks, currently having a little visit.
Yes.
So there we go. There we go. Zil is tired. You had your prison break foiling escapade where you stopped a rather dubious individual known as Culkin Deathbringer from causing someone to be freed from a prison. So there you are. There you are. What are you doing, Raj?
Okay. We've rested for the night.
Okay, yep. You spend the night in the tavern. Absolutely. You are fully restored and recovered. The following morning, you're woken to the wonderful smell of fresh bacon and eggs being prepared for all of the residents of the inn. The Farmer's Inn out here in the Uligard Gate district. So, yes, everyone is hale and hearty. Alexei is ready to go. Zil is looking at you as you come downstairs into the common rooms where the breakfast is being served.
Okay. Zil, my friend.
Yes.
Tell me, your research mission, how do you plan to proceed?
Ah, yes. Well, and he unfurls a small parchment with a very crude version of this map. And he says, well, we are here. I'll open it up for you. We are here in Pythias. And I need to get to Tiffany, where all of the prophecy is kept, and hopefully learn some more about the space that we find ourselves in. I am still convinced that you are the spoken one in the prophecy, and I need to get to Tiffany. Now, I was, on my own, simply going to take Griffin and ride there. That is the fastest route, but with your companions and your magnificent horse, that doesn't seem likely. So an option that we have would be to go to Sintatori on the west coast, and perhaps see if we could get a ship and sail from there directly north into Defini itself. Unless we don't have the coin for that, in which case then we'll be travelling through the provinces of Athea, Nembros, until eventually we arrive somewhere closer, maybe Pario, and then we could take a boat from there, or take the Cadassa Road. Either way, I guess, is an option. Did you have a thought? I certainly assume that the mage circles are completely out of our price range.
Okay. I think going to the nearest ship route would be good, but we do need to come up with some more cash. So Sintatori, and that I like that idea. But as we are here in Pythias, and I would like to try to secure the gem for my father first, and maybe see if while we are in town, we can come up with some more money. From your understanding of the prophecy, is there any sense of urgency, any time frame we are looking at?
Oh, you see him sort of scratching his head, and his lips move quietly as he's trying to remember. Well, there are some scholars who believe that the entire prophecy is required to take place over the period of a single year. So you arrived on that beach not more than 2 weeks ago, so we have quite a lot of time ahead of us, as a matter of fact. If the prophecy if the interpretation of it being taking a single year is to be believed, as I said, until I have seen it myself in Defini, I can't give you anything specific. But generally speaking, the prophecies don't actually wait for anyone. They usually happen on their own, and whatever you do is usually foretold in the actual prophecy. So that's the rather remarkable thing about them. It has foretold the future, and so whatever you do must be in accordance with what it has foretold. I'm fairly certain prophecies don't change as you do different things, otherwise they wouldn't really be prophecies. Well,
yes.
Not very long-term ones, anyway.
I guess my only concern is if anything catastrophic were to happen, if I were to not to perform in time.
Well, in that case, then, it depends. The next event, not that I'm completely au fait with it, is I think it has something to do with death. Lots and lots of death. Whether you act now or tomorrow, it's going to happen one way or another. Well, I suppose you could try and stop it. Perhaps you're meant to know that you're supposed to stop it, and if you do know that you're supposed to stop it, and you don't stop it, then you might... well, I'm not sure if you can break a prophecy, actually. That's an important one. You see him sort of drifting off into the debate inside his own head on the metaphysical and the paradoxical nature of prophecies. If you act against the prophecy, is that not what you were supposed to do? Or if you don't act against it, is that not what you were supposed... And he ends up with his elbow in his eggs and lost deep in thought.
All right. Well, let's not get lost on philosophical debates. How well do you know the city of Pythias? Where would we go if we were looking for perhaps employment for some quick jobs to do some fundraising?
It's at this point that Alexei is sort of bouncing up and down in his chair, and it looks as if he has the answer.
Alexei, please, if you know.
Yes, we could go. You could sign up to the Heroes Guild. They always have things that they need doing. You know about the Heroes Guild?
I have heard of them in our travels, but that is about it. But that sounds like an interesting option. Yes.
Well, you're a good fighter. You know, I mean, you basically killed that giant water creature all on your own, almost. And so yes. You know, although I suppose we'd only be cadets still, probably defending a farm from wolves or something like that. But I don't think that would be too bad necessarily. Zill rejoins the conversation. You could do that. Or we could go to the Temple of Death. They're here. They might have employment. There is a certain amount of not animosity between the Circle of Life and the Circle of Death, but we could try there, I suppose.
What kind of work do you expect that they would have at the Temple of Death?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. But if you came to the Temple of Life, we would quite happily employ you to be a gladiator in the arena. You know, so they might be looking for something. Couldn't you? If you have experience with gemstones, don't you?
Yes,
Well,
that
perhaps,
is another part of our mission. Yes.
Yeah, but perhaps you could work for the gem cutter or something, perhaps.
That is also a good idea. I do need to find a source of the Alexandrite for my father.
Alexei then pipes up, or, and he sort of becomes very hunched over and leans forward, or we could become bandits. But I don't think that would be very good. But we could, maybe if we only robbed from the evil, you know, the tax collectors and evil people, then no, never mind. And he sort of sits back.
No, Alexia, that is not a good idea. No.
Knew it was a bad idea yes, no, it's bad.
All right, so we must find a part of town that there will be some gemstone dealers and ask around.
It's not hard to know where to go for gemstone dealers. That takes you directly to Senate Hill, the rich area of town. It overlooks the central pond, fountains and whatnot in the middle, as well as is right next to the imposing fortress itself. There are at least 4 different jewelers who would also have gemstones in stock. Various races are present. There's gnomish dealers who claim to have the finest cut of stone. There's a human dealer who definitely has the cheapest stones, and by the look of them, just glancing at them, you realize that yes, they are definitely cheap stones. They've kind of got cloudy interiors. You can see already there's some that might have internal fractures, all the stuff that causes a stone to lose value. And there is one elvish stone cutter who has no advertising whatsoever, and that's typical of this particular type of elf. They're not Tedessu elves. They are elves that are definitely from this section down here, the Anastas Forest, and further south, for example. Much more logical and cold and calculating than their Tedessu brethren, who are all about honor and that sort of thing.
Let us go to the elven one first, since I have experience working with them at home.
Okay. You head into the Elvish store. A young human comes up to you. Welcome. What sort of stone are you looking for, sir?
Well, I am primarily looking at Alexandrite, but I'm also looking for some business opportunities.
An elf, a rather mature-looking elf, female, stalks forward. She has a very neat but functional dress and no gemstones upon her whatsoever. She looks at you, her long blonde hair fairly intricately braided behind her back. Alexandrite is not particularly common request in this part of the world. You are wishing to take it back to your own territories and she looks you up and down, perhaps Kadesu?
Close, yes. And then the pronunciation of it escapes me.
Vashti.
Yes, Vashti.
Yeah.
Vashti. Yes, from Vashti I come from, and my family, and I switch to Elvish. My family does do quite a bit of work with the elves in our region, and my father has sent me to find a supplier for Alexandrite to make regular trades between Vashti and Pythias.
I am aggrieved by my error in judging your territory. It is because I perceive you have spent some time already in Otherios. Your garb has started to change to match your accommodations, I guess. As to trading in Alexandrite, that is certainly something that we can facilitate. What quantities were you expecting to handle?
My first mission is for a single stone to show the quality to my father, and if he is satisfied with the quality, then we can move from there to discuss regular terms.
That is a prudent course of action. If you return tomorrow, I will have a sample of the Alexandrite that I can supply. We can supply no more than 300 carats of the mineral per month. Is that sufficient for your needs?
That should be good. And how much will this cost me?
Provided that you are seeking a pure grade of Alexandrite, which I assume you are, given the nature of what you would use it for in Vashti, I would estimate the cost to be around 100 crowns, or gold pieces as you might call them, per 10 carats.
Okay. Then yes, let's start with something small to begin with.
What carat count would you like?
Maybe between 10 to 20 should be enough.
Very well. I shall have it prepared for you by tomorrow, 9th bell.
All right. Thank you very much. I shall return on the morrow.
She inclines her head to you slightly and drifts away to some other customer in the store.
Okay.
Is that a good price for stone?
That was about what I was expecting. But because of everything that led me to finally arrive here, that also used up about all the money that I have left. So we must find some extra employment.
When do you have to produce the money for
I
this?
I have enough money for tomorrow for this transaction, but that would leave us with very little to continue on our journey.
Well, Right. Well, I could go and try and make some money as a scribe. I think they pay about 8 or 9 copper a page. I could probably get through about 10 pages today. That's something. Not a lot, but it is something.
I think I would be interested in going to the Heroes Guild. I think I could learn through adventures. There's some tales that would help in my music. I will go explore this option.
I will go and try and find some scribe work, and unless you need me.
No, that would be very good. That would be very good. We can.
Alexei looks at you. I was speaking to the innkeeper, and he suggests that I try and work down at the docks, carrying and loading. He said it doesn't pay very well, but it would be enough to cover a night's cost at the inn, if that will help, sir.
Oh, that is very good, Alexei. That would be very good for you. Yes.
Okay. I'll go there then, he says, and he starts to wander off towards the docks. You are left quite alone.
Okay, let us find the Heroes Guild recruitment center.
All right. Well, it doesn't take you long to find the Heroes Guild. It is located in what is known as the Centauri Quarter, which is close packed houses. There's a very moldy sort of aroma mixed with that acidic smell of the ocean and the ever-present reek of scaled fish drying in the sun or having just been left to rot in the sun. It's quite an unpleasant space to be in for a lot of reasons. But eventually you find the Heroes Guild. It's quite a large building. There are a few ratty old heads of monsters that have been nailed to the walls outside in a display of power or lost glory. Most of them look as if they've actually been made more out of sacking and bits of old plaster than actual monsters, although since they are outside that might make more sense. There are several boards outside of the guild entrance with bits of parchment basically stapled or nailed, not stapled, nailed to the board. Most of them look to be either bounties that have got very bad drawings of wolves or ogres or various rough sorts. There are a few out there. One name catches your eye. There is a bounty for Culkin Deathbringer. That's set at 2,000 gold pieces, wanted dead or alive. Yes, there's a list of crimes that he's wanted for, and he's listed as being exceptionally well-armed, dangerous, and travelling with a gang. And then it lists something, it says for levels, and you look at it, it says for levels 20 and below, which doesn't make much sense to you whatsoever in terms of that sort of meaning. You do see a few young men sauntering up to the boards. They look at all of the different names and things up there. Every now and again they pull out a little, looks like a chip. As a matter of fact, one of them pulls out something that looks identical to the one that you gave to Tatsu, which was that bone chip with a number carved into it. And you look at him trying to read it out aloud, and he goes, 4 and 8 is 48. Oh, and he was looking at the Deathbringer bounty, and he tucks it back in his pockets, rips one of the wanted wolf killer, and sort of shugs it in his pocket. Come on, lads, he says as they walk off. What do you do?
All right, let's look for something not so difficult for Roger's first time, as he may be going solo. Uh,
Okay. So I would like you to roll a d20 for me, if you please.
that is a 19.
19. Okay. Well, there are a few that are posted up. One of them is a recovery of a ring. A ring has been lost in the sewers of the little town of Pythias, and there is a hefty reward of 50 gold pieces if the ring is returned to the owner, and then the details are listed there. The owner lost the ring whilst out on a walk in an area known as the the area known as Ulegard Gate, which is where your tavern is based. So there's a little price there, and it's listed as for levels 50 and below. Again, whatever that meaning might be. You notice, though, that none of the board ever go higher than 50. Most of them are actually for 50s, except for Deathbringer's one. Then, so there's the ring in the sewers, a reclamation job, basically. There is a farmer in the fields outside of Carter's Crown, which is out this side near the Citadel. The farmer has reports of some crops being destroyed by an unknown entity, and he wants whatever it is killed. He's willing to offer 20 gold pieces for the slaughtering of whatever it is that is killing his wheat crops. That's also level 50. There are several requests for, if I go out of this map, if I go out into the surrounding areas of Pythias, there are some requests for the Ptolemus Mountains. There are craglings that have been spotted near some of the farms. Those are those little flying creatures that you encountered in the tower. Those craglings need to be taken out and destroyed, if possible. And that is a reward of 3 gold pieces per head, if that was something that tickled your fancy. Otherwise, Thennis Forest to the south, down here, Thennis Forest, is looking for someone to go in and to deal with an orc issue. It doesn't say what exactly. That's listed for levels 48 and below. And then the town of Eula is looking for someone to preside over a matter of grave importance, and they're willing to provide accommodation and travel from Pythias to Eula, and provided that the outcome is satisfactory, they will pay the incumbent the princely sum of 100 gold pieces for a satisfactory resolution. And that is levels 50 or below. Those are the ones that kind of catch your eye immediately. There is one that's killing wolves just outside of Pythias in the fields. Like I said, there are many of those. This is paying 5 silver pieces per wolf head. Or tail, as a matter of fact, which is what they want brought back.
All right. I think I'll start with the ring reclamation project, but I would like to inquire within an explanation of the levels, what that means.
All right. That's the 50 gold piece reward. I'm just making a note of that. So, yes, you head on inside, and there is a very rotund-looking man sitting behind a counter. He looks up at you, and he says, what's your level?
I do not know. I have not yet joined.
Oh, you want to sign up for the Heroes Guild, do you?
Yes.
Right, yeah. All right, have you ever killed anyone before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I'll put very, very honest down on your application form, he says as he licks his hand and pulls out a sheet of paper and puts it on the desk. Right, and he takes you through, he gets your name, he gets your your physical address. Where do you, if you die, where do we send your equipment?
To Vashti.
The Vashti. Where the hell was that?
That is far away from here.
I'll just put down here donate to guild, shall I? That'll get you some brownie points when you apply. All right, fine. Okay, would you say you are more of a problem solver or a head smasher?
A problem solver.
All right, well, we need more of those around. Heaven knows. Can you actually read that I've written the word problem solver there?
Of course.
He has not written the word problem solver. He has written the word problem silver, maybe, if you're lucky. He got the first and last letter of each word right. Anyway. Right, okay, fine. As a new recruit, you are required to pay a 5 silver piece deposit. That will get you your hero chit. You understand that he puts down on the table a little bone disc which has the number 50 inscribed upon it. Oh, sorry about that. He takes it off the counter. He wipes the blood off of it. He puts it back on the counter. All right, you're good to go. So 5 silver deposit, if you please.
So the level system, you start at 50 and work your way down?
Oh, yeah. No, that's how it works. Sorry, yeah. I forget, you're dealing with people all the time. So, yes, what will happen is you officially remove a docket from the board outside as to an undertaking that you so wish to do. Dockets are replaced every day, as a matter of fact. So if you take it today, the same docket will be up tomorrow. It will only not be recycled if the individual not wanting to pay for the project, if they withdraw the project, or if a hero returns with whatever evidence is listed on the docket and it is listed as closed. There's a fairly complicated system of how you manage to do the job, how you manage to close the job. If it's a straightforward go out and kill 100 wolves and you bring back 100 tails, that gets you job well done mark. If you go out and you kill 100 wolves and 50 peasants and you burn down the village, I'll probably hand you in for the bounty that will be on your head. All right? No, I'm joking. That's a little joke. It's a little joke. Don't worry about it. Don't be so serious. It's fine. So, no, you are not endorsed to do any kind of violence against any individuals whatsoever, except for them that are listed on the job itself. If you do commit previous bodily harm untoward any other individual not listed on that sheet, you are responsible in totality for whatever repercussions you may or may not suffer as a result of having caused grievous bodily harm against said individuals. Is that clear?
Very clear.
All right.
I understand.
If you commit any kind of damage to any kind of public property or private property not listed on the docket, you are also responsible for all coverages thereto and untoward repatriation of said damage caused to public property or to private property not listed on the docket. Is that clear?
Clear.
Right. If you die, you have signed now or will be signing shortly that your equipment, whatever equipment may be found upon your corpse in whatever state it may be found in, will be donated to the guild, and that will go towards the Hero Guild Veteran Fund, which is something that you will be eligible to if you get to a hero standing of 25 or lower, which means at such time that you want to stop doing this, you can then draw from the fund. As it stands at the moment, you will be sitting on a princely veteran's salary of 5 silver pieces per year. So I wouldn't retire very quickly if I were you. Payment is given once the project is completed. If you fail to provide any kind of evidence for what you have been tasked to do, you will not be paid. There's no quibbling, no arguing. If you don't provide what's required on the sheet, it just doesn't work.
Does this membership also apply to other cities in the hegemony?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we are not just limited to the hegemony itself. We are a global organisation. This chit will allow you to travel to any part of the world where a Heroes Guild is represented, and there is a brochure somewhere, but I don't know where it is now, where it shows you all of the current locations of the Heroes Guilds. But needless to say, we are represented in more than 40 of the leading countries around the world and recognised as a valuable contributor to those kingdoms and countries. Once you have got to a standing of 40 or below, you are entitled to free accommodation in a guild hall, should you so provide your chit with the 40 number on it, or less, of course. That's for yourself only, not for companions. We are not a boarding house. It is for yourself only.
Understood.
Yes. Anything else?
All right, that is good. Here is my 5 silver pieces.
Oh, very good, very good. Thank you very much. If you just sign here, and he slides the paper over to you, and he gives you the quill. It's just agreeing to the terms and conditions that I have read out for you.
Very well.
Okay, so you are now a paid-up member of the Heroes Guild. Welcome to the Heroes Guild. Remember, you are the hero until you're dead. Okay. Any other questions? Have you got a particular project in mind for your first?
Yes, there is a missing ring in close to where I am staying. Is there any other details available on this job than what was on the docket?
Well, as a matter of fact, between you and I happen to know that ring was lost as a result of a certain dalliance, a little flutter, if you like, a little moment of passion in the bedroom, if you so will. The ring belongs to he's quite a well-to-do bod by the name of, well, yeah, he's noble, so don't go sharing this around, right? But his name is Lord Bronn of Eula. Yeah?
Understood.
Don't go harassing them, though. He doesn't like that sort of thing. He wants to keep this on the down low because, like I said, the ring was lost while he was having a little tete-a-tete with a certain dwarvish lady of the night, which, you know what I mean. And apparently he took it off because he was feeling a little bit guilty about his little flutter because Lady Eula is sitting back in Eula, rather being miserable, I suspect. Or maybe she's doing her own thing. I don't know. I don't judge. Anyway, so yes, if I were you, I would, I'd start your looking possibly around the sewers of the Rose and Thorn, if you take my meaning.
All right. Thank you very much. I shall do that.
All right. Yeah, but that didn't come from me. Just remember, that didn't come from me. No, that didn't come from me.
Of course. No.
Yeah. Right, well, best of luck to you. Yeah, if you do go into the sewers, let's just say that recently there was a docket that came up for the removal of certain undesirables from the sewers. The docket was filled, though, so don't you worry. It was a little nasty kobold infestation. Cleared the whole lot out, apparently. So, yeah, now you just got to worry about the muck that's down there.
All right. I shall get to work.
He watches as you leave. Oh, good day, as someone else comes forward.
Okay. And head for the Rose and Thorn.
When you ask people where the Rose and Thorn is, some of them give you a strange look and others sort of laugh. One gentleman looks at you up and down and goes, well, I suppose everyone's got to get their tail away some way, don't they? Rose and Thorn, yeah, it's Uligard just down there. And he points down several alleyways. Girls are lovely. Boys too, I guess. Or I don't know what you'd be after, but, whatever. Yeah, just down that alleyway to the left, to the right. You can't miss it. It's got a great big red rose drawn over the front. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Thank you. Okay. Looking for an entrance to the sewer then nearby.
Okay. Well, you find the Rose and Thorn. I'm just going to add it in here quickly so we know where it is. The Rose and Thorn. And you start to look around the area. There are sewer camps, to be sure. Sewer covers, to be sure, that definitely link into the underground sewers. They are quite heavy, though. One is, if we look at this particular section here, there's a sort of a courtyard. There's one right in the middle of the courtyard. And around it are a few stalls on mobile carts, little brightly coloured canvas roofs over their wares. Most of it is pots, trinkets, various knickknacks. Some of them are cheap perfumes, that kind of thing. One of them is selling roses and flowers that one can buy. There is an alleyway around the side of the building, but it's quite dark down there. This narrow little alleyway. You'd have to go down that to look for a sewer entrance if you were to look there. Otherwise, there might be some on the side on the east side, but you're not convinced. The little alleyway seems to be the only other promising one, aside from the one right in the middle of the town square.
Let's go down the alleyway. The dark is not a problem for me.
Give me a perception check, if you please.
Okay. 9.
A 9. You start slinking down the alleyway, and you initially just dismissed this large mound of, looks like discarded clothing, as being just that. Until the whole thing stands up and stands a good 7.5 foot tall. It's an incredibly large, it looks like it's an ogre or something out of a nightmare. He's smoking a cigar and he looks down at you. What do you think you're doing in this alleyway, little cat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have lost my way. I was looking for my way back to the inn that I was staying in.
Oh, yeah.
Hope I did not disturb you.
It's no disturbance. It's an alleyway. It's free for anyone to wander up or down, I guess. You weren't trying to sneak into the Rose and Thorn via their back door, were you?
Oh, no, I'm not interested in going in that place. Not my cup of tea.
Right you are. Well, then you can proceed about your business, he says, and he sort of settles back down into a little chair. You can see there's a small red door in the side of the building of the Rose and Thorn. And unlike the main entrance, which is actually not very cleanly kept, this red door, the steps are swept clean, and it certainly looks like the passage ahead of you is very well cleaned. So the first part of the alleyway that you walked in on from the square looks like a dirty old alleyway. But beyond the ogre, it's immaculate. It's absolutely immaculate, leading to a very brightly lit square ahead of you. So the ogre is no longer blocking your way. You can proceed down, or you can reverse back and go into the main centre.
keep going then.
All right. You continue down. This little square is rather unusual. All of the windows that look into the square have been boarded shut. And the square itself is beautifully maintained. There is a little old woman who is sweeping the cobbles clean as she does so. And now you can give me a survival check.
$14.
The way the flagstones and the cobblestones have been smoothed, it looks as if this area is a very well-maintained area, but that the stones have been worn by metal wheels and well-shod horse hooves. There's a certain glint where the metal has dug into the stone, causing an unnatural surface shine from the contact with lots of carriages. Very, very important to realize is that metal-rimmed wheels and well-shod hooves generally are the purview of the exceptionally rich. Most wagons, most merchants would have simple wooden wheels. The only reason why you know this is because when your father bought a wagon, a carriage for the family, the biggest thing was buying the metal wheels or the metal rimmed wheels, because that was a sign of status and financial power. Other than that, there are the two alleyways that lead off of that. One of them is slightly wider than the other, and that seems to be where the tracks disappear down. At the very centre of the square, there is also an entrance into the alley, into the sewers.
All right. Ask the old lady. Have you picked up any unusual jewelry recently?
Have I picked up any unusual jewellery recently? Oh, yes, I have, as a matter of fact. That's why I'm still sweeping these cobbles. You're going to have to give me a persuasion check or an intimidation check if you want to get anything more out of her than just sass.
Go for a persuasion, and that's a 21.
And it's a natural one. All right, what information do you want to get out of her? Has she picked up any jewellery recently? Or anything else?
Yeah, if she's noticed any odd rings floating around on the street that she may have accidentally swept into the sewer, picked up.
I haven't noticed any odd jewellery, not any rings lying around on the road. But I will tell you this. A couple of nights ago, one of the bigwigs comes through here. Now, you know this is the back entrance, right, for the Rose and Thorn. They all come round this way because no one can see who they are and where they're going. Anyway, he comes out looking all flustered like, as if something's gone missing, searching his pockets. You know, like one searching, doing that whole dance that one does, checking all one's pocket. Of course, you've got to be regular rich to have pockets in the first place, says I to myself. And so he comes through, he gets into his carriage and hives off like toot sweet. No stopping him. Blow me down if about 10 minutes later, Drusilla doesn't come down the same alleyway, smiling like a Cheshire cat, great big grin all over her face. Says to her, why have you got a great big grin all over your face like a Cheshire cat? She looks at me and she says, I don't know what a Cheshire cat is, but I've got a great big grin on my face because I might just have come into some money, she says. Well, how'd you get into some money, says I to her. She says, well, I comes into some money because someone may or may not have left something behind for me as a little bit of a present. Now, that's very unusual, says I, because usually any kinds of presents got to be handed over to the mistress. That's the rules in the Rose and Thorn. All girls are equal, basically. Nonetheless, she says to me, well, I says to you, you can sod off. Well, I says back to her, well, I says to you, you can sod off. And so she did. Anyway, I haven't seen Drusilla since. She's in with a bad lot, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, that was about the closest of it as I got, I'm afraid, to someone having some luck with jewellery.
I see. And where might one of these girls go, say, to maybe pawn off something that they may have found.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that'll be old Nick's. Yeah. He's just round the corner, actually. He's not too far from here.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, my kind lady. Please, if it would help you, please take this silver piece for your help.
Well, I says to myself, that's very kind of the young gentleman to offer that to me. Well, I says, thank you very much. That's what I say.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
She takes the
All right.
coin and continues sweeping.
So I think we need to go visit old Nick first.
Okay. You poke around a little bit, and old Nick is here and amongst this collection of houses and other bric-a-brac. It's definitely a very dodgy pawnbroker. You can see the usual collection of bits of brass and old clothes hanging in the tattered and dirty windows and the like. You push the door open and there's an old broken bell that bangs more than rings as you push the door against it. And this rather hairy looking gnome glares at you from glasses. One lens is made from one type of glass, the other one is made with a much thicker rim, as if he sort of glued two old spectacles together. He's sitting behind a desk, long pipe out of his rather broad mouth. He's clean shaven, and he's reading what looks to be a broadsheet of some kind. He looks up at you. What is it that I can do for you today, my cat friend? If you're here to sell a ball, I'm not interested. If you're here to sell twine, I'm not interested.
I see you have quite an interest in unique jewelry. I am a...
He touches his glasses. Oh, you noticed that, did you? Well, good for you. I'd give you some money, but I won't.
No, I see. I carry my magnifying glass with me as well. I also, actually, where I come from, our family does quite a bit of work in jewelry.
Listen, if I was in the business of buying people's life stories, I'd be absolutely rich. Or actually, I'd be absolutely broke, because everyone seems to tell me their life story. Are you here to buy something or not?
Okay, yes, let us get to the point. I'm looking for a ring that may have come in the last couple of days.
I'll have you know this is a reputable business. We only buy things off of dead people.
I'm not questioning your sources at all.
Well, good, because they're reputable. If we had a ring, what would you be willing to pay for it?
Well, I would have to inspect the quality of the ring first.
Perfect quality, absolutely wonderful quality.
Yes, well, I would need to inspect it first. As I showed you, I also know the quality when I see it.
I see. Well, you're a tough customer, I'll tell you that. All right, here's the ring. He literally holds up something sort of brassy gold and drops it immediately. There, that was enough of a look. Anything more and I'll charge you.
I did not even get my magnifying glass near it. I did not get a chance to inspect its quality.
Life's about risk, don't you think?
All right, so you like to gamble. Okay.
No,
good.
I don't like to gamble at all.
A gold piece for a look, then.
He slaps it down on the counter and takes 3 steps back, and as he does, he pulls up this crossbow and points it at the ring. You can look, but you touch it, and I'll stick you.
Fair enough. I do not need to touch it. Okay. Now, question is, can I tell anything on the ring that would show its source of being from Lord Braun?
Aha. Give me a... I've gone blank. Do we have search checks in D&D anymore? I don't think we do. It's just perception now.
Investigation.
Investigation. That's the one. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, I've been playing so many other systems today. Investigation. Thank you, Captain Price, for mentioning that as well.
16.
16. Okay. On the outside of the ring, it looks fairly well made. It does look as if it has been worn by somebody who doesn't really care about it. You can see there's scratches on the outer surface that it's been taken off and stored in a pocket, perhaps with coins, or is not regarded very highly by the individual. The inner side of the band, however, has a rather delicate inscription. And it says, to Eula we trust, our future we guard.
This is similar to what I am looking for, but the condition is a little more scratched up than I was hoping.
It's meant to be like that. It's in vogue. That's the style. It's called scruff.
I see. That's just not what I was told. I will offer you 8 gold pieces for it.
8 gold pieces isn't even worth a look. You had longer than you agreed to. I wouldn't take more or less than... Give me a persuasion check. As you enter into negotiations. Oh boy.
15.
Well... What are you going to try... You realize on your first attempt... that he, as crotchety as he is... doesn't need to sell this thing. So he's just being mean. So that's one in his favor. Now, you can do this either way. We can continue as you try to maneuver around his stubbornness. You need to defeat him, though, at least twice before he defeats you twice. Otherwise, you're walking away, possibly paying 2d10s worth of gold pieces for this ring.
Okay.
So you've used persuasion. What else do you think you could use to try and negotiate around the stubborn gnome?
A little bit of oh no.
He seems to have a bit of a flair for the dramatic. You could try performance to almost out-mean him.
Actually, yeah. A little bit of deception first.
Ah, a little bit of deception. Nothing wrong with that.
Keep and that. Oh.
Does it beat my 7?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't. That's I can't read if that's a 7. That's a 6. Okay, 21.
21. Okay. Yeah, you're golden. You are golden. So you start to deceive him and lure it round. That's maybe you're not interested in the ring either, perhaps. What's your line of attack with the deception?
Just where I started, that it's close to what I'm looking for, but it's in way worse condition than I was expecting.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I've got a brother. He could fix it for you. It'll only cost you 20 gold.
That is my profession, to fix jewelry. I could easily do it myself.
Well, he's better than you.
I having not met him, I cannot question that.
That's
but
fair,
I know.
I guess. All right. What other skill would you like to use to try and bring him round? He seems to be losing ground here.
Oh, what else would?
Could try a bit of intimidation, make him back down a little bit, perhaps. Show him a bit of force.
Yeah. Kind of just play with my claws a little bit while I.
I like that. Oh boy.
Oh, but that one's not very good. That's only a 6.
Okay. I rolled a 2. So you are absolutely golden. You are playing with the claws. He looks at the claws. He looks at you. All right. You know what? I actually hate the thing. It's ugly. And anyone who buys it is just going to be ugly. So you can have it for 7 gold pieces.
Deal.
Done.
Thank you very much, good sir.
He grabs the coins. Now, unless you're going to buy something else, you should leave. You're making the store look messy.
I am gone. Farewell.
All right. You, what are you doing as you leave the store?
Just just walk past the door and kind of scrape up against the door just to leave my mark on it, leave my scent on the door.
Okay. No scenting! You hear from the back of the store. Kill that cat!
All right, let's go collect my reward.
Okay, well, you head back to the guild hall. The man is sitting there. He looks at you. Were you battle ready? You don't look like you've covered in sewer.
Well, I figured that it's
too hard.
would not have so easily fallen into the sewer. I looked above the sewer first. And I believe this is the ring that is in question.
He takes it from you and he looks it over. Can't read a bloody thing. All right, hang on a moment. And he pulls out this drawer, and there are a whole bunch of notes and things, and he kind of files through it with his podgy fingers, his mouth moving very slowly as he's reading each of the case files. And eventually he pulls out this piece of paper. He lays it down. You can see that there's a very crude illustration of a ring with the inscription about Euler and we must guard and that sort of thing. And he looks... Yeah, it looks right. Well, you definitely are a thinker rather than a basher, I see. Well, that certainly didn't take you very long. Yeah. Okay, well, I will chalk this one off to, and he looks at your note, young...
Raj.
Yeah, right, okay. Well done then, young Raj. Here you are, and he opens up this heavy chest. And as he opens up the chest, you see this magic just flaring around it and over it, and he sticks his hand through this magical ward, pulls out a small leather pouch, puts it on the counter. Pouch is included in the reward. We've got a company that mass produces them. So there you are, 50 gold pieces, and that is done. And done. Right, young Raj. There you go. And you give me your chit, if you please.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, all right. Just so that you know, you are now a level 49. You don't think that it goes like this, by the way. Don't think that you just need to do 50 little acts and you'll go up. in the guild ranks. So just so you're aware, if you do another one that's labelled for level 50, you get the reward, obviously, because you've done the work, but your chit won't increase. It's only if you do one of your level that it will actually increase, yeah?
All right. And what if I do something beyond my level? Is that possible?
Well, look, I like you, Raj. You make my job really easy. You found the ring, you didn't try any funny business. I haven't heard the alarms going for the city guard. Between you and me, maybe you've got the skill and the talent for 48 or 47, maybe. But once you start getting 5 or so brackets away from where you are, you're really going to struggle. I mean, the system's in place for a very specific reason, and I'm sure when they issue these jobs, they think long and hard about the amount of experience that a warrior would need to have to try and complete them. But if you were to do it, depending on how far away it was from you, you might advance 2 ranks. But it's unheard of that anyone's ever done anything 5 ranks or below their current standing. Yeah.
All right. I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want you to die yet, Raj. You've done a good job here. The Lord is going to be very, very appreciative, I'm sure of it.
I'm quite fond of my life as well. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. You going to do another one today, or are you...
I will take a look at the board. Actually, there is one that requires traveling to another...
Yeah.
Eula, yes.
Some mysterious contract. They pop up from time to time. Usually it's you've got to go and do a little I spy with my little eye what the Lord's up to type of stuff. You know, something along those lines. Yeah, usually it's not. It's like I said, we get them from time to time. It might just be go to the town and walk in a parade and be a famous guild member. You know, they ask for level 50, so probably not that. Could be a drinking competition. No, it's never a drinking competition. We love those, don't we? Yeah, but those never stay on the board for very long. Yeah.
All right. Well, what level is that one again?
Yeah, it's level 50. Yeah.
Level 50.
I only put it up this morning.
Okay. Well, I want to get a little bit of experience first before I try something too difficult. So
makes sense.
I think that will be fine. All right. Yes, I will take this one. I will. I have my own transportation. I can travel there quite quickly.
Oh well, it said it was included, but the amount that they've given us for that, you'd be riding the back of an ox cart. So if you got your own, then that's better. Yeah.
Yes, my own steed would be much more efficient.
Yeah, makes sense. It does make sense. Are you going to take it then? I'm going to sign you up for that one.
Yes, I will take that one.
Right, you are. Just remind me of the particulars of that one again. What was the payment? Do you remember?
I do not remember. I just remember about going to this town and solving something. But,
That's right. That's right. Okay, now I've got the shit here, he says, and he pulls out a copy of it. Oh, yeah, that's right. A journey out to Eula to solve a mystery of some kind. And it was transport provided, plus accommodation for one night, as that was what they assumed the whole thing would be. And the whole thing is done and dusted for 25 gold pieces, yeah?
All right.
Okay. All good then. Good luck with that then, young Raj. Hope you solve that mystery.
All right. We shall see you tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Like that confidence, Raj. Keep it up. As you step out of the Heroes Guild, A rather gaunt-looking figure wearing a very black robe steps up to you. And he says, "I apologize for the intrusion, but are you Raj of the Light?"
Yes.
You have been worshipping at the Temple of Life?
Yes, I have.
In that case, I bear a message from Lord Graven Demlock. He is the High Priest of the Circle of Death here in Pythias. He requests an audience with you at your earliest convenience.
Okay. I have time. Please lead the way.
He nods, turns, and starts leading you through the city towards the more expensive area that you know to be called Senate Hill, and to a rather imposing structure, which is just over here on the main street, and we will drop it in very quickly here. This is the Circle of Death. Temple, and that is let's just see, there we go. Whilst I drop this in, it's a very imposing building, very dark in its tone, that sort of thing, but other than that, yeah, it's well maintained, very well kept, very clean. You're led inside. It's very cool inside. The air is crisp and quite different from the salty sea air beyond. There is a sense of chanting way off in the distance. It sounds like a choir going through Vespers or some long hymn that they're working their way through. And you're taken from the main entrance into a side office, which has got lots of leather-bound books on walls and thick carpeting on the floor. And then the man who's showing you around, he knocks on a very, very heavily decorated door. It has skeletons and skulls and people moving in strange and deathly like shapes carved all over it. And the hushed conversation, he opens the door and he says, "Raj of the Light, I introduce you to Lord Graven Demlock, High Priest of the Circle of Death for Pythias." And he steps aside. Do you enter?
Yes.
The room is very grey. There are lots of candelabras standing with candles burning. It looks like you're inside a tomb, as a matter of fact. Grey stone everywhere. There are some stone benches with rather decadent red velvet cushions about them. And then where there would be a desk under normal circumstances, there's a large altar that has got, it looks like a body resting in peace underneath a very white sheet, and another rather gaunt man who looks at you. He's human. He has the most beautiful blue eyes of any human you've ever seen. They're piercing in their intensity, and he has a very thin face, aquiline almost, and he looks at you. And for a moment, it looks as if he is about to bring death to you. There is this foreboding sense, and then his thin lips spread into a smile, and he steps forward. "We have heard so many great things about you, young Raj. It is an absolute pleasure and honour to have you here with us. Forgive all of this display, but it is what is expected of us here at the Circle of Death. Would you care for a refreshment, perhaps?"
No, I am fine, thank you. Please, You have words for me? You wish to
Yes.
speak with me?
I know the abbot of the Circle of Life, whom you had quite an interaction with. He speaks quite fondly of you, as a matter of fact. He says that you are an individual who thinks outside of the proverbial box. That is something that could be of use to us here in the temple. That is to say, if you are looking for a way in which you might perhaps ward off death, or if we're to be a little bit less macabre, a way to earn some coin. The abbot suggested that you might be trying to make your way to Defini, which is quite an expensive enterprise the last time I checked. Would you be open
Yes.
to perform some small duty for the temple?
Please tell me what you require.
His eyes scan the room, and he says, perhaps it would be best to leave this rather sinister place and speak about these matters in a happier space. And he leads the way. He's wearing the same very black robes, and he has black gloves on with black soft-soled shoes so that he doesn't make a noise when he walks. And he kind of leads you through various doors, deeper and deeper. It feels like you're going just into a crypt as it gets darker and darker, and all these skeletons are lying in peace on the shelves. And it really is a very serious business, the Circle of Death, you know, he says as he walks you through it. But someone's got to do it, and it's an important service after all.
Mhm.
It is very unfortunate, however, when one of our own gets claimed by the Circle. It causes disruptions, and we rather pride ourselves on the ability to avoid death. Servicing death all the time, one starts to learn to know the signs, if you take my meaning. He leads you out of a door and into the brilliant sunlight and this absolutely stunning rose garden. Great big blooms are everywhere, the strong, strong, sweet scent of roses in the air, completely obfuscating the scent of sea and seagull that is the usual smell of Pythias. He takes you to a small stone bench next to this water fountain, again of skeletons frolicking around. It looks like a central orb, the Circle of Death, which is spewing out water in a bizarre kind of Dance of the Dead sort of style. He sits down and indicates you should sit next to him.
Okay.
We think that we have had an abduction within our order. We're not entirely certain. We also perhaps think that one of our own has defected to another side. Either way, we are in the dark with the actual outcome of the situation. I don't wish to raise hostilities between the other circles, and if there is a defector, that certainly will do it if I send one of our own to investigate. If a third party, such as yourself, who is amiable to helping all of the circles, would go, then whatever you find can be kept between yourself, myself, and the High Priestess Kythia Abani. She is one of our leading and most inspiring High Priestesses, widely regarded as one of the most knowledgeable priestesses on all things to do with the future. She has made it her life's work to study the signs of what is to come, if it were. She was supposed to arrive here last week. However, she has not. She didn't even make her first check-in in the town of Piketon, which is a few miles to the north of here. We do know that she left Sidon, however, a town further north of Piketon. She was expected in Piketon, but did not arrive. If you would be willing to make the journey to Piketon and possibly to Sidon and see if you could find a trace of our priestess, I would be greatly indebted to you. And if you were to find out what happened to her or where she went, I would appreciate that even more. I say that because I don't think she's dead. We have a rather unique insight into those who are living and those who are dead, and I have not yet felt her leave this mortal coil.
I see. Okay. How would I know to recognize her? Uh,
Priestess Kythia Abani is a centaur.
okay.
Yes, and she is rather remarkable in the fact that she has an absolutely snow-white, for lack of a more delicate term, hide.
I see.
Yes. This she displays most proudly. The centaurs are not to be taken lightly. Of course, they have a vital role to play within Utherios, and the High Priestess, as I said, is widely regarded as an expert on portents of the future.
Mm.
Yes. Does this strike you as something that might be of interest to you?
Yes, I do believe that my associate would also like to speak with her.
I see. Well, if you can find her, I would be most appreciative either way. If she has defected to another circle, and you should know, Raj, before you take this assignment, that there is a certain amount of poaching that happens between the circles. Priests who are particularly good at pulling crowds are often offered larger temples by other circles to draw the crowds to them and the ties that go along with it. So it is not uncommon. If it has happened, I would simply like to know what she has done with the artifact that she was supposed to be carrying with her. That is not allowed to be defected, and it would not be good sport if the other temple had so obtained it. She is carrying an orb of death with her, an ancient artifact of little import today, and certainly not capable of causing death anymore. But it is a foci that has been in the church for several hundred years, and we would like it back.
All right.
What is your daily rate? The abbot didn't indicate in his letter to me that you had a specific rate.
I will be honest with you. I am new to this profession, so I have not yet set standard rates.
I see. Well, given the reference that the abbot gave, as well as the fact that you will have to travel to Piketon and possibly to Sidon itself, I would imagine that a sum of, say, 15 gold per day would be sufficient.
Well,
I have insulted you. Perhaps 25.
I think that yes, as there, that is about what the Adventurers Guild is paying, about 25 per day. So
I
that
see.
would be more
You are a
acceptable.
member of the Heroes Guild?
Yes, I am.
In which case, then, I shall make it 30 gold per day, as I do not wish this to get onto their books in the slightest. Discretion is absolutely required in this matter, Raj. You do understand that if it would become public knowledge that our High Priestess has either been abducted or has, worst case, been defected to another temple, it could hurt our reputation here in Pythias, and that we cannot abide.
Very well. I will not be able to start working for you until tomorrow. I will be fair in my accounting of time in this mission.
I suppose tomorrow won't make too much of a delay in the situation. She was only expected in Piketon as of yesterday afternoon. Well, that was the last time she could possibly have arrived there if she had taken normal passage from Sidon. A day will be sufficient. If you could depart tomorrow, however, that would be absolutely important.
Yes.
Very good. Is there something I need to sign, or shall I just wait for you to return with the Orb of Death? Or the High Priestess?
I believe someone in your position should be good for his word. We shall give it a handshake.
Ah, yes. He shakes your hand.
All right. Then I hope to return quickly with news for you.
I hope so too, Raj. I know that you are a worshipper of the Circle of Life, but may death be far from your current path, he says and nods towards you.
Thank you so much.
And on that note, we come to an end of tonight's session. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, Raj has made a huge impact into the Heroes Guild. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You certainly have taken that like a duck to water, I must admit. And I also have to say to chat, shame on you. Shame on you. They've been talking about, whilst we've been playing, all they've been talking about is absolutely amazing sounding food. And they're like, oh, we've got this dinner going. Oh, we've got that dinner. What about Brian and me sitting here starving away? Look at me. I'm skin and bone and fat. But the skin and bone part is the important part. Anyway. Did you have fun, Brian?
Yeah. This is growing even more than I expected. The Heroes Guild was a great turn of events, but this additional mission for the Circle of Death is even better.
Oh, there we go. I hope you I hope that it turns out to be as fun as possible. I want to ask you, I've got a video coming out on Friday, and actually this is for all of you, where we're talking about social hit points, or at least I'm talking about social hit points, like with persuasion checks, for example. So I don't know if you noticed, but tonight when you got a success on a persuasion check, you got some information, but then you'd have to make additional rolls to get more information. You didn't just naturally just get it all. And like when you were haggling with the storekeeper, was that irritating that you had to try and come up with different skills to get the information, and that you had to sort of beat him down in terms of getting to that point? How did you feel? Honestly, I mean, it's a question that I raise is you know, in combat.
That actually made it a lot more interesting. Instead of just a single die roll and then explaining things, having to actually work a little bit was very good. I mean, if it was a novice player, then yeah, maybe one simple die roll. But for players, and you know, I've been out of the loop of gaming for a while, but now that I'm getting back into it and catching up speed, it's a lot more of a challenge to do multiple checks like that. So that is a very good thing.
Okay, cool. That's good feedback. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So there we go. That's it for tonight. Brian, thank you so much. We will see you next week. Yeah, you've got 2 missions on the go now. That's interesting. Do you have a particular target for how much gold you want to raise, or is this going to get as much as I can?
Well, I'm expecting that the Alexandrite's going to cost me about 150 to 200 gold pieces.
Right.
So I need to get another at least 300 before we move on again.
Okay.
2 to 300.
Right.
So
Somewhere around there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So Eula, just to give you a perspective, you are here in Pythias. Eula is across there. Then Piketon is just a little bit north of Pythias, and Sidon is quite a bit north of Piketon. It's about 100 miles, 75 miles as the crow flies. So that might keep you. It might get you your money, as a matter of fact, because if you're getting 25 gold a day. You can do sort of
30.
30 a day. That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So yes, you can do about 25 to 30 miles a day. You've got at least 3 days of travel there, and then 3 days back. So there you go. There you go. You might get your money after all.
Mm.
All right, Brian, thanks for playing. We'll see you next week. And for those of you in about 4.5 minutes, or just about as much time as it takes me to get a new cup of cocoa, I will be back doing what I had planned for today's adventure, how it ran, how I did what I did, and it does contain spoilers. So if you don't want to watch that, I wish you all a very good evening, and thank you for participating tonight. We'll see you again on Sunday for GM live sessions with the GM. Until then, however, thanks everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, Let me fix that quickly. Goodbye. And that one. There we go. Right. Well. Okay. Right. There we go. Good. Yes. Fine. What did I have planned for today's session is a good question. I had planned for today's session. I go to my book. I had, and someone is actually asking this. So here it is here. This is the 5 steps. Boom, 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 boom. Of the adventure, the official adventure that Raj is going on. And Laura, why do you say a hairy naked person? He's not naked. He's a barbarian fighting something from the Torg diagram thing. You just didn't see the other side of it. Anyway, so right. Yes, so I have the 5-step plan planned out, and that is for the master plot. So we're moving into adventure 2 now of the master plot, which is where the Death Guild, or the Death Cult, or Circle of the Circle of Death, hires Raj to try and find out about this priestess. The priestess has the Orb of Death, which is the relic that will be used in the final ritual at the very end of the campaign, where the crazy wizard priest is combining all of the circles together to become master of the entire thing. So it's the first steps, if you like, of them building this whole thing together. And Raj will find out about this. We're going to, there's the 5 steps, and he will discover that the orb has been handed over to this mysterious figure, which starts to set up the never-present nemesis, which is our big bad. His name completely escapes me, so I'm going to bring up the notes at the moment. But so my goal in today's session was quite simply to, and I've got it open here, and I'll get the other one open as well, because I saw a question about that. So if I go here, oh, it's using the wrong camera. Anyway, ignore that for now, folks. So if we look at the master plot here, I'm going to zoom in. All that was required was the Death Cult reaches out to Raj. Someone attacked a convoy of priests. The High Priest is missing, and someone must track her down. So I then took that and went, okay, well, there's 5 steps that we need to fulfill on that. And it's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we will discover is that the High Priestess has not defected to another temple as the High Priest of Death is, but she has actually devoted herself to helping the madman Naos take over the universe. And so she's actually become a corrupt version. So that's the twist that he's going to discover when he finally gets to the place where he is going. And I very purposefully did it this way, although he's now changed my plan. So there you go. But the idea was that he goes to Piketon, discovers that she's not there. He starts traveling up to Sidon. And whilst he's passing through the pillars of Nicodamnos, very specifically, Nicodamnos, he gets ambushed and he discovers that the centaur isn't here, and she's actually betrayed them all, and she's handing over that orb to the madman Naos. He won't meet Naos, of course, but that's what he will discover. The idea then was that he continued on to Sidon. And then from Sidon, he can go, well, it was just about working his way up to get to Defini. But that was a vague plan that I had. The fact that he's now doing all of these little side quests and things, that's fine. Those side quests were all made up. As you saw, I screwed up. I didn't write down the gold price associated with the side quests that I gave him. I should have been doing that whilst I was talking to him. I didn't. So the Eula thing is definitely, it's a mystery. He's got to go to Eula. He's got to figure out what's going on. And what will happen is once he arrives there, I set it up that the Lord of Eula is having an affair with prostitutes in Pythias, and his wife suspects. So he's going to go to Eula, to the very man whose ring he restored, to then have to follow the man back to Pythias and find out that he's been having a dalliance at the Rose and Thorns. And then go back to Eula and report, or write a letter to the wife and explain it, or do whatever it is that he wants to do. So yes, I think it's all coming together. The ring there was no plan for that whatsoever. I didn't expect him to go and join the Heroes Guild. When he was throwing out how can he make money in the city, I really didn't care what he was going to do, because I knew that I was going to trigger the death cult to approach him and get hold of him. I did need a little bit of time to transpire with him in the town. I wanted to leave him in charge for a little bit to see what he did as a player and as the character, because I feel that I've been chasing story and driving it. I wanted to see what he wanted to do. This is effectively was almost like it's a shopping adventure day. And so that's why when he said, well, what can I do? We threw out a whole bunch of ideas. Again, though, making sure that the NPCs didn't drive anything. I also wanted to test what he thinks about Alexei. And I don't think he likes having NPCs around him. I don't think he likes having the support of the NPCs. So what I'm going to do moving forward is pull them back so that they're not nearly as useful as I was hoping that they could be to him. I think it's become very clear that Raj does not value them, or does not seem to think that he needs them. That's fine. I'm not going to press the matter. I'm not going to push that he needs to have them around. That's entirely his game to play, and I'm here just to provide support with that. So he let Alexei go load dock ships. I mean, God, what a miserable thing to do. But it's fine. It's good. It's his story. That's where we're going with it. So, yes, the scribe Zil will come back with 5 silver pieces, and Alexei will come back with 3 silver pieces, and they'll contribute, and they will move into a support role of supporting Raj and giving him information as and when he needs it that isn't useful to delay or to get him to go and find out about it. So that's what I would do, or that's what I'm going to be doing moving forward. With regards to the Heroes Guild, I had set up the Heroes Guild previously, but I completely forgot how I had done the ranking structure and the leveling up structure. So I made it as simple as possible. And I don't think that that's necessarily a terrible thing. Raj will go and do this Eula thing because it's level 50, so he's not going to rank up on that. He'll stay at level 49. Which again, I don't have a huge problem with. If he gets to level 1, then that's absolutely going to be amazing. So there we are. Okay, so that is pretty much that. The ring not being in the sewer. I thought, well, let's do a little bit of a mystery. Let's see how he works. Let's see how he follows along with that. The fact that he thought that she would take it to a pawn shop was brilliant. I hadn't thought that she'd take it to a pawn shop. I actually thought he was going to go and question her inside the brothel, and then, just would follow it from there. She'd try and escape. He'd follow her and find that she had the ring on her person. That was one solution. The other solution, if he didn't go down that alleyway, would be that the ring actually was in the sewers, and if he climbed down there would be a combat with the kobolds. I set that up early on, just to give him a bit of warning that, yes, the kobolds were cleared out, but maybe there were 1 or 2 that had survived, so there was going to be some combat, that option. Yeah, but there we go. I think it is what it is, and when you're making up these kind of adventures on the fly, you throw out a few random hooks, and then you kind of see where the player goes with that, and then you build it as you need to. Again, working with that 5-step, it's like, okay, step 1 is go to the Rose and Thorn. Step 2 is investigate the Rose. It's part of the journey of the Rose and Thorns. The twist is, oh, well, the ring wasn't actually dropped into the sewer. It was taken by somebody else. So now you journey to the next point. In this case, the next point was the pawnbroker, and then he had that showdown with the pawnbroker. So it's very, very subtle, very simple 5 steps, but they were there, and I was using them as I needed to, as a guide to direct where that adventure should go. Okay, so there were some questions that came up. Stamsa says, is 5-step adventure the same as adventure template and adventure phase? Can I use it instead for all of my campaign main plot adventures? So what you are talking about is Yes, the 5-step system, which I will show for those that don't know it. Give me a second here. Let me just switch away from that whilst I go looking for some examples for you. You are talking about the older templates, which are still valid, even if they do feel like they are more cumbersome. I do think it's important to open them up and just to show you the difference between the two. So you can decide which one works best for you. So there we go. Now, if you look at this one, this is the old adventure template. This was the 1-2-1, the 1-2-2 method, which I use on my channel a lot. This is derived from script writing. So it's a lot more of a comprehensive breakdown into a normal kind of adventure. But if you look at it, intro to goal, intro to enemy, intro to situation, that is all basically step 1 on the 5-step. Journey to set up the journey, that's step 2. The first attempt, which is where they realize that something's gone wrong, that's step 3. The false ending, which is a journey, is step 4, and then the final showdown is step 5. So it's the same thing. It's just that this one is more in the lines of, if you're a scriptwriter or if you're trying to draw on a Hollywood film, this will help you. There's still those 10 names. There's still what did you seed. There's some more information here, though, to remind you, is it a thwarting, a delivering, a collecting, or a discovering adventure? So the collecting of the ring, for example, was a discovering adventure. He was trying to find out what had happened to it. And the Euler one, now that I think about it, is also a discovering adventure, so I might need to stop that. I might need him to catch the Lord in the act. Then it would be a thwarting adventure. The finding of the centaur priestess, that is a collecting. He's gone to go and find the orb, and so it will be delivered in that way. Now, so that's the one template. It's a lot more prescriptive than just the same 5 steps. This is the adventure prep, and what this is this is per step. So you have 5 steps. You would do one of these per step, okay? And this is what you need to have in the back of your mind when you're running your games. Now, I don't do these because I do them on the fly. I do them on the fly, though, remembering all of this stuff, as much of it as I possibly can, trying to remember the sights, the sounds, the touch, the taste, the smell. I did a lot of that tonight. I don't know if it was noticed or not, where I was trying to make the different parts of the cities sound and feel and smell different from each other. So I was trying to use as much descriptive words, the cobblestones being scuffed and cut by metal tracks, and the rose garden versus the salted fish smell, the rotting fish smell, all those kinds of things. So I was really trying to push that. The crowded houses versus the large, majestic houses. Anyway, so this is something designed to help you if you need to get into the swing of things. Then you go to the 5-step, and the 5-step, as I said, this is a shorthand. So if you can do the 5-step and run your game successfully, that's brilliant. But each of these entries, arrival at plot, would have its own adventure phase planner if you need it to. If you need it to. That's how you could work. So I hope that answers your question. Captain Pricer says, the usual weekly after stream question, will I join you in Discord? No, I won't join you in Discord. I am going to go and find food. I really am. I haven't had dinner yet. So, because the show starts at I start chatting with Brian from about 6:15 in the evening here, which is too early for the supper for me. And it finishes at 9 o'clock, which is sort of after my new normal supper time. I have a shape and figure to maintain. It takes a lot of energy to remain in this shape. Trust me. It's not that I don't want to. It's literally that I've been taught never to eat and talk, and it's just nasty. Next question is, are there any repercussions to joining the Heroes Guild? It feels like if you join, it's having a free digital account. It's free. It'll be there for eternity, even after your death usually, and nothing will happen if you do nothing with it. No heads up for deletion or warnings for long non-use. Okay, yes, you were quite right. The Heroes Guild is a technique that I have used for a very long time in my private games. it allows the players to go, you know what, I'm just tired of saving the universe. I just want to go and do something fun and not meaningless, but just to earn some extra coin. And when they run out of money, it's a great way of avoiding having to have the players go and perform in a bar for 12 copper pieces and then perform in another bar for another 24 copper. You know, it's a great way of saying, okay, well, here you are, go and do some work, and off you go. The idea of the leveling within that was very specific to stop high-level players going and taking a whole bunch of level 50 adventures or guild level 50 adventures, and then you're just hacking and slashing through hundreds and hundreds of wolves. What would then happen is they would take maybe 4 of those adventures, they go off, they do all of that kind of stuff. You role play it. You don't actually roll dice for it because there's no point. They're going to kill all the wolves and they're not going to struggle whatsoever. They go back to town, they cash it in, they leave town, and then they get attacked by a whole bunch of level 50s whose livelihood they are now stealing. So it changes it up a little bit. There you go. There you go. So there aren't repercussions if you are not active. You just stay at that level for as long as you are at that level. Yeah. So there was a whole oath thing where people could call on you and ask you for eternal support and that sort of thing. But I didn't feel that we needed it for this particular one. Captain Price says, are you going to use any of the brothel ideas that I recommended in the past, the illusion one and the glasses? You did recommend a whole lot of ideas to me about them, and I have forgotten them. I remember now very vaguely that illusions would be used to spruce up the space, I think, or to make the woman prettier. I honestly and genuinely don't remember Captain Price's. I have so much material coming into my life, and you read it and you go, that's really good, that's brilliant, that's lovely, I must remember that. Out the head it goes. I really do apologize. So I've seen it, but remind me again. Next question from Captain Price. Lots of questions from Captain Prices tonight. Will Raj acquire any other party members? I'm smelling that a female companion might make an awesome addition, especially the possibilities of interactions with Alexei. I meant Alexei. Well, you've answered that bit. Yes. So I am to be sure that now today very much he doesn't want more companions, I don't think. So no, I don't think I will be adding that in. And unlike other games where, like for example Mios, which comes from the Adventures of the Windswift, there I had a lot of NPCs doing stuff in the background, but I also had a lot of PCs doing stuff in the background. So each one of them almost needed to have their own NPCs, if you like, that they could invest in and grow in. Whereas here in the one-on-one game, I only have Brian, so he doesn't need to have 3 or 4 or 5 companions that he interacts with, because he doesn't really interact with them too much. So, yeah, there we go. Next question: the Graith and your Braxia. What rules do you use for them? Tabaxi, custom homebrew. I am having a craving to play a character with exceptional smell, and I believe a Graith is perfect for it. I used hobgoblins. They are literally just reskinned hobgoblins. I think hobgoblins have got dark vision and quite a good perception, or at least they did. Remember, I started Braxia when we were still on 3.5, D&D 3.5. So that's where they come from. They are literally just reskinned hobgoblins. Yeah, Lance, you make a good point there. Roger's relationship with Alexei is more of he dislikes the responsibility for an NPC following him and the implied hero worship. I think maybe you're right. Maybe he does. So I'll see. I'll pull back a little bit and see what he's doing. But there we go. And Laura, thank you for sharing that link. You can find all these videos on YouTube. They will be there permanently. Twitch deletes them after 14 days. And Laura Bones very kindly shared up all of those links there on where to find them, as well as to join our Discord. Discord.gg/greatgm will get you there, or the link that Laura shared, either way. And come and join the conversations. We have lots of chats going on. My Discord has blown up for some unknown reason. I've just read ones and ones and ones and ones everywhere. Obviously, now is the time to talk to me. Who knows? They're all going to be very disappointed because I'm going to go and have supper now. If there are no more questions, again, I thank you for your interactions. I don't remember what the final call was for the cover of the book. I vaguely saw lots of things about dragons, so I think I'm going to try and do a dragon. Yeah, Captain Price is just teasing. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to try and do a dragon. So I'm going to use my 3D pen and see. The only thing that I'm worried about is that I don't want to just draw on it. I want it to have a little bit of depth. But if you can see, I put these little studs in the corners because it always looks nice. That's as high as it can go because I really do like folding the book flat like that. It really makes it easy to hold and to manage and that sort of things. A dinosaur with a banana. I don't have that kind of artistic skill. Not with my hands, anyway. Until next time, however, so tomorrow, if you are following the Mercs of Mischief adventure with Janet from World Anvil, Till from Dungeon Fog, and myself and Michael Cassavin, that's on tomorrow in the morning. It's on at... it's on tomorrow morning. I think it's on at 8 a.m. GMT. I think that's the time. Ridiculous time for those of you in America. But for those of you in Europe, it's still a ridiculous time. Anyway, we were playing there. It's the final session. It is the final session. So that should be quite fun. Thank you, Laura. Look at you all. You get something special there. Anyway, so yeah, that's it's the final session tomorrow. That's been crazy. That's a new RPG system. If you haven't checked out my latest video, by the way, that's on Torg Eternity. Now, if you're reluctant to move away from 5th edition, or you don't want to move away from 5th edition, and I have to say, I review these rule systems and I go, that's a really cool rule system. I like that. But I wish they'd just done it using a D20 because it's comfortable and it's familiar and we kind of know what's going on there. But yeah, anyway. All right, folks. I won't ramble because otherwise I will, and then all hell breaks loose. We know what happens then. Until we meet again, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.